All right, everybody, we are back again for this edition of the Rebel Sports Podcast on this November 19th, 2014. We're a week away from Thanksgiving, guys. We got a long-deserved break. How you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm ready for the temperature to get to like the 30s and 40s.
We were doing fine yesterday.
I am not ready for the temperature.
I want to feel like it's wintertime. I don't want
It's
to be
not. It's
70.
fall. It's not winter yet.
But we were doing fine.
Thanksgiving is winter.
No, winter's like, what, December 21st?
You see Buffalo Stadium? That's a blanket of snow.
That's why I don't live in
70
Buffalo.
inches of snow.
I don't want it to be 75 degrees on Thanksgiving Day.
I do.
That is
And
annoying.
at least the good thing about being snowed in Buffalo is that there's a good chance people in Buffalo will not see the Bills and the Jets play a football game this weekend.
That's true.
So that's probably a benefit.
There's an upside there.
Yeah, I mean, it's cloudy as all hell outside, but it feels like 60 degrees with like 30% humidity right now. So.
Perfect.
No, not perfect.
It needs
Not
to be about
perfect.
30.
Yeah. And that, concludes our meteorologist report of the Real Sports Podcast. Thanks again for joining us, guys. We got a lot to talk about today. I am the sports editor, Danny Webster, joined by senior staff writers Jesse Granger, Randy Favorich, and Jordan Aguilar. And guys, we need to start off. Your 2014 WAC champions, your UNLV men's soccer team, after a thrilling 4-2 PK win over Bakersfield on Sunday. Game went 1-1 overtime. Bakersfield had a lot of chances in the second half and in overtime to kind of put the game away. UNLV hung in there and won 4-2 in PKs. They're moving on to the first NCAA tournament since 1988, I believe. And they will be taking on in a rematch from earlier this year, UC Irvine tomorrow at Irvine Stadium. So.
Anteater Stadium.
Anteater, Irvine, whatever. You know, the whole thing is we're going to Irvine after Irvine came here.
Anteater Stadium.
Anteater Stadium. That
Danny,
sounds.
you've been at the Rebel Yell for a long time.
Yes.
When's the last time men's soccer was on the cover?
Never.
Never. That's what I thought.
Okay, I was here till 11 o'clock on Sunday. You know, we were finishing up the paper and whatnot, and I decided to use my last bit of downtime to go through our digital archives through the library and see. Because UNLV won a conference championship back in '84 was their last time, I believe.
87.
87? Okay.
Big West.
Big West, okay. So I went through the digital archives, through everything, went through every issue between 84, 87, even through 88, found absolutely nothing on men's soccer.
Making history.
We were making history at the Rebel Yell.
I know, it's cool that they won the championship and all, but like, front page of the Rebel Yell is like, that's where it's at. Right
It's a big flipping deal. You have made it when you are on the cover of the Rebel Yell. But Randy, we'll start with you. First thoughts. I mean, this has been a historic season, a thrilling season, culminating with a conference championship and a shot in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's everything that it's the antithesis of everything we expect from a UNLV sports program. You expect the program to, if they get hot, to tail off at the end, or you expect just a normal run-of-the-mill season. You never expect any club at UNLV outside of maybe women's tennis or golf to really just dominate. You don't expect it. And in the last few years, I mean, you really got to look outside of football and basketball and look at what the program has done. Not only the soccer program, but the athletic department in general. You got men's golf making it to an Elite Eight. You got women's golf and women's tennis, obviously always good. The baseball team made the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2005 in the spring. You got men's soccer, first time in 27 years that they're even sniffing the NCAA tournament. It's their sixth appearance all time, and they are by far they're the only team in the tournament with that big of a gap by far to reach between tournament appearances. So, I mean, four of their five stints came in the 80s with 83, 84, 85, and 87. That's 4 times out of the 6 that they made the tournaments in the 80s. They didn't sniff it again until now. It's been a remarkable season. I remember we talked about in the beginning of the season when Sal was just on a tear, when Captain Salvador Bernal was on a tear, and we were saying, this team's winning ball games, and no one else is getting off. Fuentes wasn't scoring. Danny Musovski hadn't scored a goal yet, and we all said, if Musovski or Fuentes or any of these guys can help Sal a little bit and get it going, this team's going to be scary. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Danny Musovski was named the National Player of the Week in D1 collegiate soccer.
First time ever for a player.
First time ever for UNLV, a UNLV player in history. And he did it without the leadership of Salvador Bernal or the secondary scoring of Rodrigo Fuentes on the field. They sat out both games in the WAC tournament. Yeah. And this freshman, this 18-year-old kid from Liberty High School, comes in and just puts the team on his back in every sense of the word with Ryan Harding and his play in net. I mean, it was just tremendous. It's an absolutely tremendous season. I talked to a fan on Twitter the other day, just real quick, and she was saying, this is the story of the semester. And it really is. I mean, outside of I'm talking hard news, A&E, anything. This team is the story of the entire semester for UNLV. And it's really cool that all of us got to be a part of that. I mean, it's really cool. It's a bit of history that we can all say that we covered. The offense is what's been carrying the team. Even though the defense has been playing really well, the offense has been what sparked this team all season long. Mm-hmm. And Danny had a hand in all 3 goals on Friday, and I think he assisted on the goal, Partita's goal on Sunday.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was a cross from the right side into the box.
And so you were, as you're watching, you're like, oh, here's the offense again. And then lo and behold, the guy that tied the single season shutout record for a goalie in UNLV history comes up with the 2 biggest saves, as I wrote in the article, not only of the season, but probably arguably in the program history. Yeah. With the stop on the second shot and the fourth shot of Bakersfield's PKs, Ryan Harding did.
I would actually argue there's a third save. This is one of the only games I've gotten to watch.
Right, but it was in the second half you're talking about?
In the second half, with about 5 minutes left until the end of regulation, and they had a guy wide open on the right side of the goal. And in soccer, 9 times out of 10, that's a goal, and Harding stopped him. And if he would have scored that, obviously, they never would have went to extra time or to the shootout. So I think that save, and then obviously the ones in the penalty shootout.
I mean, look how many stories that you have within this season. You have a program reaching a tournament for the first time in 27 years. You have the coach of that team was a former player on the last team that went to the NCAA tournament in '87 or '88. He's leading his team back to the postseason. You have the whole story of them not even having a program 5 years ago and being on the cusp of elimination. And then you have the story of Harding, who battled back from cancer, who didn't even know if he'd ever play soccer again, making the 2 biggest saves in program history. I mean, there's just so much inside this one team, and it's awesome. It's awesome, man.
And I don't know if you mentioned Sal Burnell's comeback from last year after he had a struggling year.
Yeah, and
come back and be one of the league leaders, the nation leaders in goals scored.
Yeah.
For him to have a big year was definitely one of the main reasons UNLV is sitting in the NCAA tournament right now, heading into tomorrow.
And despite winning the championship, they really, really, really missed him in that game. In the second half, UNLV had 0 offense. None, zilch, nada, 0. Yeah. Nothing.
And that's where
they were on their heels the entire second half, and Harding just bailed them out.
That's where you missed the veteran leadership, like you said, from Sal, because Danny can, he can get you that goal in the first half, but what Danny doesn't possess physically, Sal possesses mentally, and seniors possess mentally that freshmen just can't have yet. And so that's where you miss Sal a lot. But I mean, it's one of the greatest seasons in UNLV history. They scored 44 goals this year. That's the second highest in the NCAA across the entire country, and the second highest or most by a Rebel squad since the 1989 squad scored 50 goals. So it's the second most in school history. They led the Western Athletic Conference with 10 shutouts this year. Harding did on defense, so it's not just defense. You got Sal, who's the Western Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year. You got Kyle Mellies, who's the Western Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year. You got Rich Ryerson, who's the Coach of the Year. I mean, it's awesome. And then to top it all off, they get a team that they really wanted to face in the first round of the NCAA tournament in UC Irvine.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. I mean, we talked about it before when UNLV played UC Irvine earlier in the year. They were the number 4 team in the country. UNLV is coming off I believe they're coming off a big win over UMBC at that time, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So now, kind of talking about this revenge factor, and I was kind of talking with somebody over the weekend about this. They beat UMKC after UMKC came in here and won, and then beat Bakersfield after Bakersfield won.
Came in here and won.
So, do we see a pattern here? Is this kind of thing where it's like, well, it's already happened twice. Why not happen a third time for UNLV to move on?
And we hope, right?
Yeah.
We hope. I mean, this team. I talked to Sal during the viewing party when they found out they were playing Irvine, and he said something interesting to me that I didn't really expect to hear. He said, we wanted Irvine because they play soccer. And I was like, what do you mean they play soccer? Everybody plays soccer. He goes, no. He goes, the style that Irvine plays is fluid soccer, like the style that we play. He goes, they're big and physical, which gives them an advantage over us. He's like, but we're quicker, we're smaller, and we play a more fluid style of soccer. But I think what he meant by that is they're not playing a team like a Bakersfield or a Houston Baptist that wants to just rough them up and take advantage of their size on them. This Irvine team actually plays soccer. They go through set pieces like you always talk about, and they play true soccer. They're not just it's not just a physical tackling game out there. So I thought that was interesting, but Coach Ryerson was fired up about playing them again. Sal was fired up about the whole team was. So I mean they're really excited about playing someone that they're already familiar with, because they do only get 2 days to practice before going on the field, and it helps when you're more familiar with a foe than going in cold against somebody.
Yeah, Randy and I talked about it a few days ago. You really, really benefit from getting a team that you've played before, because when you go into a national tournament like this, if you were to play some team from Midwest or the East Coast or something, like, you have no idea what to expect going into that game. You can watch film, but how much does that really do? Whereas now you get to face a team that you've matched up with. These guys have been on the field with them. They know the players. They know this guy's their best player. This is the guy. This is their go-to guy, and they have things they can fix from the last game. And like you said, not much time to prepare. I think that's a huge thing. Even though they lost to them, I think they'd rather play a team, even though they've lost to them, than some team that they've never seen before and have no idea about.
Yeah, and you mentioned they're a big physical team. UC Irvine is. Do you think that game against Utah Valley kind of helps in any way? How they were big, physical, and they were kind of...
I think a lot of the games they've played helped them in a lot of ways. Utah Valley, Houston Baptist, Air Force, Bakersfield, they all play that same style, that defensive style, and that rough and rugged style. I mean, the Air Force game is when Sal started to get roughed up, and Ryerson saw it. The Houston Baptist game is when they took him out for basically the last 5 games of the year. Utah Valley, big, strong team. They have 26-year-old freshmen because they were all on their missions before they went to Utah Valley. I mean, they're just an experienced, all those teams I think really do benefit UNLV in going into this game at Irvine and playing them. I really think so.
UNLV's riding a lot of emotion and momentum right now, especially these last 3 games were almost must-win games. We talked about it last week. How you said they had to win this tournament to get into the NCAA tournament, and then going back to even the regular season, they had to beat Grand Canyon to get that 1 seed. So they're riding a lot of emotion, and plus they did it without those 2 senior, or without the leaders, the scoring captains, like I said.
Right.
The freshmen had to step up. So this team's building. I mean, you want to get hot at the end of the year, just like you want to get into the tournament. You never know. I mean, they're getting hot at the right time of the year.
And now they get Bernal back, right?
Yeah, he's I asked Coach on Monday, and he told me, quote, Sal's the green light. So Sal's playing Thursday. He told me he came in for an interview yesterday with Studio G, actually. And I talked to him afterward, and he said, he feels good. He actually practiced with the ball for the first time 2 days ago. He said he can still feel it a little bit when he sends crosses from either side of the field into the middle. But he said that he actually feels a lot better, and he hopes come game time with the rest that he'll be 100%. So, I mean, it's tough. If they win on Thursday, Ryerson told me they're not coming back to Vegas. They're going straight up to Palo Alto on Thursday night. To get there Friday morning, because they play Stanford if they beat Irvine. Yeah. So instead of coming back to Vegas, I mean that's a long stretch for a student athlete to be on the road from. They left this morning at 9, and if they win, they won't come back until Sunday night at whatever time.
Yeah.
And you're going from Irvine to Palo Alto. I mean, luckily closer in proximity than going from Irvine to Boise or something. But still, you don't. That's wear and tear on the road that the team doesn't really need.
If they win, I mean, even without those circumstances, beating Stanford is a tall order. I mean,
absolutely.
So it's not just the circumstances; it's the fact that Stanford is really, really, really good. Like, that would be a colossal upset if UNLV were to go up to Stanford and beat them.
Yeah, that would be huge.
But it's like you said. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's. I would assume it's the same in any sport. When you're hot going into the postseason, anything can really happen. I mean, you look at it in the NFL the most. Even baseball, the Royals this last year, but I mean, anything can happen.
In a sport like soccer, where games are decided by 2 or 3 plays, it's not like basketball where a game is decided by 80 or 90 plays. In soccer, one mistake, one play can win you the game. So upsets are more likely in a sport like that. So if they can go in there, Stanford, if they win the first game, of course, and get an early goal, it completely changes everything. It's not like basketball or football where there's tons of plays that decide the outcome.
Yeah. Well, again, UNLV takes on UC Irvine at 7 o'clock tomorrow at Anteater Stadium.
Anteater Stadium.
I'm still going to call it Irvine
And
Stadium.
I assume it'll be streamed on.
We'll have to find somewhere to get it. It probably will be streamed on UNLVRebels.com. I'm not sure yet.
If not, I'm sure the NCAA will have some stream up.
Maybe it'll be on ESPNU. You never know. I don't know, but we'll see. All right.
That would be something.
That'd be fun, right?
To be streamed on ESPN.
A lot of good first round games looking at this bracket here. I mean, you got North Carolina, James Madison, San Diego and Cal State Fullerton, UMBC and Wake Forest. A lot of good games on here in the first round.
Soccer is a sport dominated by the West Coast, more than any other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call soccer a major sport, but more major than golf and tennis and stuff like that. I think a lot of Cali and West Coast teams are really good at soccer compared to other sports.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. All right, well, 7 o'clock tomorrow. UNLV, UC Irvine, first round of the NCAA tournament.
Stanford's the number 6 seed, by the way.
Yes, they are.
Just
And
so
what seed
that-
is UNLV?
They're not seeded.
Oh yeah, they're playing game,
It's
right?
basically like a play-in game.
Okay.
I mean,
Kind of sucks for a 15-win team to have to play a playing game, but yeah.
Well, they play in a really small conference.
Oh, I know, but again, it's 15 wins.
Yeah.
Still. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk about some men's basketball here. The Runner Rebels off to a 2-0 start after a 59-57 win over Sam Houston State on this past Sunday. UNLV is kind of struggling out of the gates in this 2-0 start. You know, they're playing teams that a lot of people aren't talking about, but we talked about before. These are mid-major teams that are really good. UNLV struggled, but they managed to pull out 2 wins over the weekend, including the Sam Houston State game. And they can't make their free throws, so that's pretty much the recap for that game. So
I don't see these first 2 games as a negative at all.
well,
Not
give
even
your
a little
season
bit.
preview real quick.
yeah,
Okay.
let's do that because Jesse wasn't here last week, so he needs to give a season preview and a record for this team and how many wins.
All right, so quick rundown. My prediction is that they will go 24-7, which is higher than most. I think
Yeah, I
most
have
predictions.
22 and 9.
Okay, I have them 24-7. I have them going 15-1 at home, 8-4 on the road, and 1-2 in neutral site games.
What's the one loss at home?
The one loss at home is Arizona.
Oh, so you think they go undefeated?
You are out of your
Yes.
mind.
In Mountain West, I have them going 15-3. I think they lose a lot more. San Diego State went 16-2 last year in Mountain West, and I think this team right now is nowhere near as good as San Diego State. I think after the
You know who San Diego State
Gauntlet?
had last year compared to who they have this year? I mean, compared to who the UNLV has. They have an experienced team.
this team's going to be experienced in a hurry. They're about to go through the gauntlet.
They are about to go through the
UNLV
gauntlet.
probably has the 4th or 5th toughest non-conference schedule in the country, and I believe that this
Well,
team.
ESPN ranked them what, top 12, top 15?
Yeah, I think they're top. They said top 15, but it was like 5th on the list. And I think that this team has more talent than any team in the Mountain West in the last 2 or 3 years. And they're not experienced, but they will be experienced quickly. And that's why I have them going 8-4 on the road, and that's why I have them struggling in the non-conference. Pretty much all these big games that everyone wants them to win. Everybody wants them to beat Stanford. Everybody wants them to beat Arizona, Duke, which they won't get to. Arizona State,
I think they can beat
Utah.
ASU.
I have them winning against
Yeah,
ASU.
I was saying, I think they can beat Arizona State.
Utah at the MGM, Kansas. I have them losing almost all of those games.
Utah's another team I think they could probably hang with.
I think they're going to lose to Utah. But anyways, I've got them going 15-3 in Mountain West. I think they struggle early. I think people get down on them early because they're going to lose all these big games that people want them to win, obviously. I think they hit their stride getting into conference. I think they learn from the non-conference. I have them going 9-0 at home in conference, 6-3 on the road with their 3 losses in conference at San Diego State, at Wyoming, and at Colorado State. Those 3 tough road games. I think they sweep New Mexico. I think New Mexico's going to be garbage. I think they sweep New Mexico, who's going to be terrible.
What about Boise?
I think UNLV is just too athletic for Boise.
Okay.
I'm not that high on Boise. I'm a lot higher on Wyoming and Colorado State. Obviously, everybody's high on San Diego State, but I think Colorado State and Wyoming are better teams than Boise.
Okay.
I have them finishing first in the Mountain West, which I have them 15-3, which
That
New Mexico finished second at 15-3. I think the Mountain West is going to be a little down this year.
That alone would be an accomplishment.
I have them getting a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament at that. a 5 seed, which is right below where San Diego
24
State
and
was.
7 with that non-conference schedule and going 15-3 Mountain West with 5 seed.
Well, San Diego State was a 4 seed last year, but their record was 2. They had 2 less losses,
But how is there not? Because a lot of it depends on the non-conference schedule.
which is true. But just because you lost all these teams doesn't do you any good. I mean,
Yeah.
they'd have to if they were to beat
competitive.
if they were to beat Kansas or Stanford, or if Arizona was to come here and they were to upset them, then okay, 3 seed maybe. If you get one of those games, I just don't have them getting one of
Maybe
those
5
games.
sounds about right, I guess.
And then I just obviously once you get to the NCAA tournament, it all
Right.
goes off matchups. But I say they lose in the Sweet 16. They get to the second weekend for the first time in forever and lose.
2007?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 06, 07.
My team MVP, Cody Doolin.
Gotta be. I
The
mean,
dude-
there's just no other
Yeah.
person that needs to be it.
Yeah. So that's
Through
my
2 games
quick.
through 30 games.
I got him. Biggest wins for me that I have him beating Temple. Winning,
That's a big win.
Winning.
big win.
Temple's
I made that
Temple's
mistake
a
last
big
week.
win.
Won
Brooklyn.
8 games last year.
I made that mistake
Temple
last
is going to be decent this year, and it's a name. It's a name on your schedule. So, and then at Arizona State, I have them winning. At Boise State is a big win. San Diego State at home, and at New Mexico, who I think is going to be down, but anytime you go in the pit and win. Losses: Stanford, Utah, Zona, at Kansas, at San Diego State, at Wyoming, and at Colorado State.
So every big game they play.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, big games in non-conference.
Yeah.
I could definitely see them going down to San Diego State and beating them. I think this team is going to struggle through non-conference, and my prediction is they are going to catch fire in conference and annihilate this
If
conference.
they get it
We'll
together.
see.
If they get
Yeah,
it
we'll
together.
see.
They're never going to be out-talented by any Mountain West team, and it won't be close.
Oh, we know that, but it's just a matter of coaching, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
And Dave Rice, through 2 games, has done a complete 180 on his coaching. Everyone's gripe about Dave Rice is he's too soft. He doesn't punish the players. He doesn't hold them accountable. And I, with my own eyes, watched Dave Rice take Christian Wood off the floor 3 different times against Sam Houston State for not going after a rebound.
Yep.
With my own
And
eyes, I
Rashad.
watched
He
Christian
took
Wood
Rashad
not
off,
go
too.
for a rebound. Dave Rice calls a timeout right there, runs over to him, grabs him, sits him on the bench, and puts Okanobo in. 3 different times. Dave Rice is not playing around.
Yeah.
Jelon Kendrick started the game. He played poorly. He played 14 minutes. Dave Rice has enough talent now to where if you're not going to play hard, you're not going to play well, you're sitting on the bench. And I think that's a complete 180 from what he's done since he's become coach here. I think he's finally realized that he needs to be more disciplinarian.
I want
He realized, crap, I have an extension now. I actually have to do some coaching. But no, what were you going to say, Randy?
I was going to say, getting into these 2 games, I wanted to talk about them. You were saying that you didn't think of it as a disappointment, these 2 wins. Neither do I. I mean, the whole thing in college football is you have the Power
Basketball.
5, right? No,
Oh,
listen.
okay.
In college football, you have the Power 5, right? And if you play outside that Power 5, you're just really mediocre, run-of-the-mill school. College basketball isn't like that because you have so many mid-majors, they're really not even mid-majors anymore, teams that have, that return 5 starters and 8 overall players from the team before. And you have teams like Northern Iowa one year or who was it last year that made a run? Dayton that makes runs or teams like that, DCU, George Washington, George Mason. So Morehead State had 7 returning players
Morehead
from
State
last year's
actually made a
team.
run a couple years ago in the tournament.
Yeah, with Fareed.
With Fareed.
But they had 7 returning players. Sam Houston State had 4 returning starters on their team.
They both had 4 return starters.
Right. I think Morehead State even had players that returned from last year's
From the
squad.
bench.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are good, solid teams. I mean, Sam Houston State's they didn't make the tournament last year because they had to go through Stephen F. Austin, who ended up upsetting VCU and almost making it to the Sweet 16. I mean, Morehead State, same way. They play in a tougher
Murray
Ohio
State
Valley
is
conference.
really, really good.
Not this year, not so much, but when they had Isaiah Cannon and stuff like that, that team was legit. They knocked off Purdue and Gonzaga, and so playing these teams is okay. It may not be the name like Duke and Stanford and all these guys, but these are really tough schools, and to squeak out close games, I'm more impressed that they squeaked out close games rather than blew them out, because that's when Rashad and Goodluck and these guys have to step up mentally. Cody can only do so much, and you've seen those guys in the second half, especially the Morehead State game, not taking as many bad shots when they got down by 11, and slowly and methodically making shots that were open and taking the right shots, sparked by McCall and Doolin's passing and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm encouraged too. I think they played well.
And to your point of these teams, and the reason is because in college football, Alabama can stack up 90 five-star recruits on their team, leaving nothing for these. In college basketball, there's so many good players, and teams only got 10 guys. So there's more players than there are teams, and these little schools get really talented guys, and like you said, they keep them. They don't leave. All these guys are seniors. Yeah. Last year when Rashad Vaughn and Okanoba, all our stars, were playing against high school teams that they could score 40 on, not even trying, this team that they went up against was going against legit college basketball teams. These guys are way more prepared than UNLV was. And these games wouldn't have been close if they made their free throws.
Yeah.
Both games would have been blowouts if they made their free throws. And I don't think this is a bad free throw shooting team. I think this is a team that's going to be a good free throw shooting team that's just shooting poorly. And I talked to Cody Doolin about it after the second game, because it was even worse than the first one. And he talked about the most important aspect of shooting free throws is how comfortable you are out there. None of these guys have shot free throws in the Thomas and Mack before. I mean, they do it in practice, but it's not the same when there's 18,000 people in there. And as the season goes on, they won't be so stressed up at the line. They'll become comfortable, and they'll just start making their free throws. These guys are good shooters. The two best free throw shooters on the team, I'm assuming, are Cody Doolin and Rashad Vaughn. The two could not buy a free throw in the first two games. Cody Doolin was 2 for 7, and I think Vaughn was
2 of 5.
2 of 5 in the second game. And those are your two. If at the end of the game, you know they're going to foul you, those are the two guys you're going to want to send to the line, and they couldn't make free. So it's not like they got a bunch of Dwight Howards out there that it's going to remain bad free throw shooting. So you assume the free throw shooting will get better. When it does, these close games will become blowouts. And these two teams are a lot better than their names suggest, like Randy said.
A couple of alarming things I saw after the first weekend. Obviously, I said it last week, I think they're going to get beat a lot on the offensive boards, which they obviously shown. I mean, good luck and Christian, they're long. They're tall, but especially when they're in that, they played a lot more zone. They're getting beat on those long rebounds and stuff like that. And I think those extra chance points are what keep these games so close. And also, I think another alarming thing was when you look at that first game and when Doolin was off the floor, they looked lost. In the second game, Doolin played 39 minutes. Yeah. So the backup point guard plays is going to become a real issue, because we thought, coming in the season, we thought Kendall Smith looked more confident, looked better prepared to be able to take over when Cody Doolin was on the floor, but he just kind of looked lost. Only got 3 minutes in that second game. Now we kind of see how big of a loss it is to lose to Quan Cook for the season, when he could come in and spell Cody Doolin for 10, 12 minutes a game. But now you got Cody Doolin playing 39 minutes the first weekend of the year. If you got to think about the long, especially if he gets into foul trouble, what's his team going to do? I mean, the offense clearly runs through him. I mean, he's the ball handler, he's the leader, and as much praise as Rashad Vaughn gets for his shooting, I mean, Cody Doolin is setting up a lot of that stuff. So you got to think about who's going to be able to handle the rock when he's not on the floor.
And he's the most important player on the team by far. Yeah. I think he's more important than any two players on this team.
Yeah, but also you got to think about, like you were saying, who's going to come in and spell him? Kendall Smith's getting like 4 minutes a game because he's just not producing at all.
Yeah, he's playing way too fast.
And he's out of control. He's way out of control. I mean, he's trying to do too much of this out of control, fast break. It's just not what you are. It's not who you are. You know, I think he thinks he's very skilled. Don't get me wrong when I say this, but I think he just thinks he's a lot more skilled than he is, and he plays way too out of control. But like you said, Doolin's got he's played 72 minutes out of possible 80 in 2 games.
If I'm Dave Rice,
and go ahead.
If I'm Dave Rice, listen, Cody Doolin, you're a senior. You're not playing basketball after this, in all likelihood.
You better drive your
So
knees
you've
to
got
the
so
ground.
you've got about 30 games left until the day you die to play basketball. You're going to play 40 minutes in all 30 of these games. Have fun.
We've also seen
hydrate, son.
Doolin's aggressive. He likes to get after the team, and he might get into foul. He got into foul trouble early in that game, and the problem is once he gets into foul trouble, what are they going to have to do? Are they going to have to rely on Kendall Smith? Are they going to move Jelon over? What are they going to do?
I don't.
Just going to have Rashad run through.
Because Jesse and I talked about that on Tuesday when he told me that, because I didn't look at the stats before we talked about this, and he told me Doolin had 39 minutes, and I was like, no flipping way. And he showed me that. I'm like, how much did Kendall Smith play? 3.
Yeah. About what he deserved.
What in the world? And it's amazing because we came into this season, Kendall Smith is probably going to be the beneficiary of, probably going to be the 6th man on this team. so to speak, because he was going to come in, be behind a veteran point guard, and he was going to play a lot better than he did last year. Now it's looked like he's taking 2 steps back so early in the season.
How long before he bounces?
I think
That was
I think he transfers this
Yeah.
season. He's not playing. I think McCaw gets time at point guard before Kendall
That
Smith.
kid is. I'll tell you what. I did not expect anything out of him, honestly, because to me he's just really raw. He's so athletic, but he's just so raw. But that guy can legitimately play 3 positions on the floor.
Well, Dave Rice
And-
after the game said he's been playing 4, 1 through 4.
I don't know if
Hey,
he can
Dave
play
Rice
4.
told me 1 through 4.
Maybe in a small lineup, but
saying.
still, I mean, he really can. He can play 3 positions on the floor. He's so bouncy. That guy can rebound. That's another thing that we can talk about too, is because obviously Wood and Okanobo are crashing the boards. There's been very rare, pretty much no guard rebounding except
Vaughn did well in
Rashad.
the first game.
Yeah, he's averaging 5 through 2 games, but. Yeah, McCaw surprised me. I mean, he really. We talked to that scout on the Friday game for the Orlando
Yes.
Magic, and he said he's here for Rashad Vaughn, Okanobo, Dwayne Morgan, and Patrick McCaw. And me and Jesse were like, McCaw? Like,
Yeah.
really? McCall?
The
And
NBA
then-
knew something we didn't.
Right. Obviously, that's why they're scouts and working on this stuff.
That is why we are just journalists.
so,
Yes.
He was definitely that spark on that.
You know
Yeah.
what?
First game.
Where he's impressed me, he hit some huge threes against Morehead State.
What I tell you on Friday, his 7 points were the most amazing, most important 7 points of the
On
entire
Friday?
game. On Friday against Morehead.
But where McCaw has impressed me the most through 2 games, he is an absolute nightmare on the front corner of
Of
that
the zone.
zone. He makes it nearly impossible to get into the corner.
That's
I've
why-
never seen someone with feet so quick. They cannot get the ball into the corner. He probably has 4 steals through 2 games just intercepting passes into that corner. Because he's fast enough to get to the top to close out on if they're trying to shot at the top of the key, and to get over to that corner guy. He's so fast.
So
and
the big
he
comes
really makes that zone work. I truly believe that he is the key to that zone defense.
Their length.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
been
like-
saying it for a while now.
Yeah.
Going zone with this team, and especially in the second half of that Morehead State game, that was a real difference maker.
Yeah, let's talk about that briefly before we move on to talking about Stanford. We mentioned before that zone. We see their length now. And I think Rice said it after the game on Sunday, they want to go to a zone, but they don't want to try and stay all 40 minutes into a zone. You kind of have to try, at least try.
You stay all 40
Straight
minutes.
all 40
You
minutes
don't
of the
get
zone.
away from it, and you stay all 40 minutes for the rest of the season.
I think the reason is because Rice is all about effort, and zone defenses they have a perception of being a little lazy because you don't have to run, you don't have to chase your guy down, and they're not quite as intense as man-to-man. And I think he doesn't want them to get laxed on the defensive end, but their zone is
If they're winning
unbelievable.
games, if that's winning you games, you keep rolling.
Last year they held a team under 66 times in 30-something games. They've already done it twice. Doolin, after the second game, said in his entire career he doesn't think he's won a game scoring 60 or less, and he's already done it twice. And he's like, in the post game, he's like, I'm trying to tell these guys in the locker room, and like they don't understand how difficult it is to win a game when you only score 60. Like, I've told them probably 30 times, and they still don't understand. Like, you don't win games when you score 60 points, and we are. That's how good the defense is playing, and it's all 100% of that zone.
Yeah.
But the negative of that zone, like Jordan said, is you can't rebound out of it. And I asked Doolin after the game, are the rebounding problems because of the zone? And he said 100%. When you're playing man-to-man, you know who you're boxing out because you've been following that guy around the whole possession. On a zone, when they shoot the ball, you have to find a guy to box out. And when you got 4 freshmen and Doolin out there, these guys aren't going to be able to find guys to box out. I don't think it's that Wood and Okanobo and Dwayne Morgan aren't good rebounders. They are. They're just not experienced enough to find a guy in a zone defense and box him
And
out.
that'll come. That's why running a zone is so dangerous with a young team, because that comes that knowing where your man is, what man. Even though you're in a zone, you know what man you're boxing out as time progresses.
Exactly.
And they need help on the rebounding front, obviously, with the guards crashing the boards. But I think that will come because their adjustment in the second half of that Morehead State game was so quick, and that's something you never seen Rice really do that well. In the first half in that zone, they got backdoored. I don't know, 2 or 3 times. Against Florida National, we were watching, they went to a zone quickly. They got backdoored against that team who's only been around for like 14 days. So, like, they've made so many adjustments in that short amount of time, and I think that this team is smart enough. And that's key. I think these freshmen are a lot smarter than we give maybe them credit for. They're smarter than the normal freshmen. Listen, they're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. They're going to get beat. They're going to miss an assignment. It's going to happen. But I think they're smarter than what maybe we give them credit for, and I think if they can pick that up, toward the end of non-conference and going into conference, that zone would be. It's already scary against mid-major teams, but it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
It would be like SDSU's length. They could match SDSU's length. They could play them the zone. It would be scary.
And the thing is, their number one competition in the Mountain West is San Diego State. I've watched San Diego State play. They cannot shoot to save
They haven't been able to in a long
life.
time.
If
They
you
can't
can
score.
play a solid zone against San Diego State, they're in trouble.
They
Big
beat
trouble.
Utah
They beat
yesterday,
Utah.
and they scored 59 points.
Yeah, that
And
team
Utah
can't make a
40
shot outside.
But Utah only scored like 47.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how San Diego State
And
wins
then
their
when
games.
teams do penetrate the zone, you get Good Luck, who's shown how
Mother
dominating he
of
can
God,
be.
that
He
guy.
has like 34 blocks in a game.
His arm can reach the camera from here.
They're second in the country with blocks per game. With 11.
He is
He's
unbelievable.
just
He has
amazing.
13 blocks.
He is a monster. And you were mentioning to me earlier, you think he's better at blocking shots
Than Kem Birch was. The day Kem Birch walked out of UNLV and into the NBA, Okunobo's better than that right now at blocking shots. Because because Kem Birch didn't block shots. Kem Birch blocked shots when he saw the shot coming, he timed his jump perfectly, he got up and swatted it. Okunobo will jump on a pump fake, then the guy will go around him, and he's still in the air, and he'll like reach behind his back and smack it down. Like he timed it wrong. He didn't even have it right in the timing of the offense. He jumped in the incorrect spot, and his athleticism just allows him to reach around and with his long arms and just smack it down. Once he gets better at the fundamentals, he's a monster. And he's already better at on-the-ball defense. I was talking to Danny about it. He plays the bottom of that zone, and when they do get it in the corner, 1 out of 20 tries because McCaw's up there, that guy will pump fake Okunobo and then try to drive it. And Okunobo's feet are unbelievably fast for how long and lanky he is. You expect him to be slow with his feet because he's so long. His on-the-ball defense is good, too. He's ridiculously good on the defensive end. His offense game is non-existent. Don't give him the ball unless it's up in the air and he's dunking it in the hoop. That's the only time he should be allowed to touch it on offense.
He's like Kem Birch in that aspect. You get him on the fast break, he's going to make teams pay. But UNLV really hasn't had a chance to really set up a fast break through 2 games because they've been playing pretty much at the same tempo.
Well, and because they can't rebound.
Yeah,
They got to rebound to get fast break.
That too. And that'll hopefully come. But, like we said, if you're not rebounding in a zone defense, you better be able to guard your man. And these next couple of games, mainly against Stanford coming up on Friday, Friday, in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center to start the coach's first, or continue it, but to move it to Brooklyn. UNLV takes on Stanford on Friday. And if you're talking about a team that is experienced and you're talking about a team that is long and can defend, the Stanford team is probably at the top of that
His
list.
backcourt is going to have to grow up.
Oh, man. You're talking about 2 starters on this team are 5th-year seniors. And you have a 4th-year senior, a freshman, and a junior who is from Gorman.
Yep, Las Vegas.
So Roscoe Allen. So, I mean, you got Randall and Nastich, who are pretty much the 2 main guys on this team.
Nastich is a
Nastich-
monster.
He is a
He's a
beast.
huge
20-8. He's averaging 20-8 through 2 games.
And
But
he's
again,
6'11", 245.
I watched him when he was here at the Pac-12 tournament last year. And he's good. He's big. He'll get in foul trouble, but he's a big guy, and he can't turn his neck. It's weird. He's like this all the time.
Yes, he looks like Frankenstein.
It's weird. But he's good.
But he is lethal, and he pretty much showed it in the wins against Wofford and South Dakota for Stanford.
I mean,
to
this
start
was
2-0.
a Sweet 16 team, right? Am I right?
Yes, they were.
Yep.
They were good. They were the team who I thought was Dayton, who I thought Dayton was Temple last week. So UNLV versus Stanford. I mean, we talking about we all don't think UNLV is going to get past Stanford to probably play Duke.
I think they get killed by Stanford.
Yeah, and I mean this is a very experienced team. They went to the Sweet 16 last year for a reason. They're probably going to make another run this year. So I mean, you're talking about Nastich is probably going to dominate the glass if they can't rebound right. If UNLV cannot rebound at this current point in
He
time.
might get 10 offensive rebounds. 10 offensive.
Offensive
Him, that guy, one dude.
How about that battle though between Randall and Vaughn?
It's going to be good.
That's going to be awesome.
What a matchup
I don't
to watch.
know if Rashad's going to guard him. I think Rashad's going to stay on Anthony Brown. I think he's going
starts on him.
No, I think Dwayne or Jalon starts on him. I think Cody. I think Cody comes out on what's his name?
I mean,
what's the point guard? The Vegas kid? Isn't he the point guard?
No, Roscoe Allen's a 6'9" forward.
Okay, then Reed. I'm thinking of Reed Travis. Okay, I think
Yeah.
Cody starts out on him.
Travis is a 6'8" guy.
And remember, they might not play man-to-man all that much.
Who's the guard
so-
that I'm thinking of then?
Randall's 6'2", Brown is 6'6".
Okay, then I got him mixed up. Yeah. Then I think
You're probably thinking of Anthony.
Vaughn will guard Randall then. I'm thinking of the 6'6", 6'7" guy, Anthony Brown. That's who I was thinking
Is
of.
that who you put Vaughn on to start the game? The 6'6".
They might be in a
They,
zone.
they might
guys.
zone, so it doesn't really matter. So.
But I think if you man up, I think you could put Cody on Randall just to see how it goes at first, and put Vaughn or Jalon on Brown, because Anthony Brown is so underrated on this team. He's really good, and he's a 5th-year senior also.
He's athletic.
Yeah.
I think you got to play man against a team like Stanford, especially with a guy like Nastich who can rebound and can score in the paint.
Well, see, I think that's why you play zone, is because you have his big behind down there. You can come out of a trap in a zone, and you can cover a lot more ground in a zone. And I think that with him down there, I think UNLV would stick to his zone, and I think would they play 1-2-2 against Sam Houston State?
That's what they've been playing. Yeah, 1-2-2.
Yeah. I think
It looks like
I think
it
you'd
looks
play
like a
two-
3. It looks like a 3-2.
Right, but I think
but
you'd play
Cody
2-3
runs up
against him.
Okay.
I think you'd play a 2-3 against Stanford.
Okay.
Reverse that.
Well-
I think that'd be
Well, Chris Wood's going to have to rebound better than he did against Sam Houston State.
his
Or
sole
UNLV got a
purpose.
chance.
Him and Good Luck's sole purpose in life is to get a body on him when the ball goes up. They honestly on offense don't even touch the ball. Just take this guy out the game.
Yeah.
I've already said that I think UNLV's going to lose by double digits in this game, but let me just spin it. This is why UNLV has a chance. Because if they play the zone, they can collapse it on that big guy. Every time he gets the ball, collapse it. And they don't have to worry about three-point shooting because as talented as Stanford is, they are horrible at shooting the 3-ball. This season, they're 5 of 21 from three-point range. And their 2 best three-point shooters are 1 of 7 and 1 of 8.
Yeah.
If you collapse it on that guy and then Stanford just gets on fire from 3, then oh well, we tried. You're not going to win that game.
And I mean, you kind of pick your poison with that too, because Nastich is a very good passing big man, especially in the post.
But they have to make the shot once he passes.
No, I'm saying he has very good vision when he gets double teamed and he's able to kick it out. So, but like you said, it's up to Stanford to make those shots that they're probably going to get after they close down on it.
And if I'm UNLV, it's like every time Nastich touches the ball, collapse on him. And if they're going to rain three-pointers down at the Barclays Center, so be it. That's how we're going to lose. We're not going to let him dominate, because if you just leave him with one-on-one with Christian Wood or Okanobo, he's going to just bully him under the hoop. And then on offense, what you do is you drive it at Nastich's face every single time. He's not a great shot blocker because he's not that athletic. He's a big dude. He's strong, but he's not athletic. Stanford has 7 blocks this season. UNLV has 22 blocks and Okanobo has 13. Stanford as a team, all of them together have 7 blocks. I think screw the 3-ball. Vaughn, drive it. Okanobo, get him the ball in there. Chris Wood, get him the ball. Everybody just drive. And Cody Doolin has been really good at driving the ball.
Yeah, he finds a lot of open lanes.
A lot of driving kicks.
Just drive that ball. Try to get Nastich in foul trouble on the offensive end. And I don't think they're that worried about the shot blocking because, like I said, he's not very athletic of a guy.
I think that another reason you play zone is to stay out of foul trouble. These guys are way quicker, way more athletic. I think, especially at the point guard position with Cody against either Chase and Randall or someone else. If you look, they're shooting 75% as a team this year. Chase and Randall, 16 for 16 on the year. Anthony Brown, 9 of 9 on the year.
You talking about free throws?
Yeah.
Yes.
Another guy, 5 of 7. The big guy, Nastich, 12 of 14. He can shoot free throws. So I think to stay out of foul trouble, you get into that zone also. Because if you're playing man and you're playing catch-up, you're just bound to foul. You're bound to get in trouble.
And Cody's not athletic enough to stay with those guys.
Exactly. So I think that staying in the zone is another reason. Or I think that staying out of foul trouble is another reason you stay in the zone.
Completely agree.
Well, would Cody Doolin be prepared to play another 39, 40 minutes?
Oh,
He better be.
He will probably need
And I tell
to.
you what, you
He
could
will
actually
get a
see
chance.
Kendall's minutes bumped up in this game simply because he's athletic enough to stay with like a guy like Jason Randall. Because he is a very, very athletic dude. He's not a great defender, but he's
I think
an athletic guy.
I think McCaw's more athletic and better at defense.
Oh yeah, and he's bigger. He's a
Than-
bigger guy.
than Smith
but
is.
I tell you what, Rashad. I mean, he really can't play defense.
He's not good
and
at
he
defense
better
at all.
he better step up.
Yeah,
Because Rashad can't even guard a shadow in these first 2 games.
Yeah.
And he needs.
I don't expect him to just all of a sudden
So
learn how to
he's
play
staying in that
defense.
zone.
I think it's more just Rashad. We know you're going to suck on defense. Just get us 25, and that'll make up for
Just don't shoot 7 of 18 and get me 25.
19.
Get me 25
One
points.
of the funniest things is in the press conference, they didn't think we could hear it, but they were whispering to each other. And Okanobo goes to McCaw while Cody Doolin's answering a question. Okanobo, they had the stat sheet in front of him, and Okanobo goes, "Damn, Damn, he took 19 shots.
Time on a shot.
Yeah, you look at the box score and it's like 7 shots, 6, 2, 5, 1, 3, 2.
19.
19!
He's got the green light, like we said before.
Which he deserves it.
It's fine. He's one of the top prospects in the country. You deserve to get the green light. You are
Enjoy
a
him
team
while
for-
he's here.
He carries them on
Right.
offense. He needs to shoot that many.
All right, so does UNLV? You say UNLV doesn't have a shot against Stanford.
They have a shot. They match up well, to be honest. I think like the way they match, I think they match up well. This team is not ready to go to New York City, to Brooklyn, and beat a team like Stanford
And you
right
think
now.
the same way?
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't think they get beat by 30, but I don't see him. I don't see him keeping it that close. Double digit win, 12 to 15 points probably. I think the line is. Very low. I think last time I saw it was 6.5. So I think 12 to 15 points. 12 to 15 point game.
That's
sounds
the
about
exact
right.
range I was going to say,
Yeah.
12 to 15.
I don't see him holding them under 60 points. Stanford.
Oh,
No
yeah.
way. Well, I mean, Stanford's not an offensive explosion waiting to happen, but
They can't shoot.
60 points
Yeah.
probably get more than 60
But
points.
they're smart at taking advantage of mismatches.
Yeah.
And if they find a couple mismatches,
I mean, they do go to
and,
Stanford after all.
And,
guys
and
are
they're
smart.
They are smart. They are smart off the court and on the court. There's no reason.
I think UNLV stays within 8 to 10 points. I think Rashad's going to have a big night on the offensive side for them to be able to overcome. But yeah, I think they stay within 8 to 10 points and then play Temple and hopefully get out of there 1-1.
Here's the bottom line, though. Either way, you want to root for UNLV to win, and because it doesn't matter if they get killed by Duke or not. You just want to see them play Duke.
Oh, if they play Duke, they're going to lose by 30, but it'll still be awesome just because it's UNLV and Duke in New York City. I mean,
Exactly. And
How would that game say so what? Jelon on Justice Winslow?
pretty
I don't.
much.
I think it's
Rashad
just.
on Tyus Jones.
It doesn't really matter.
it doesn't really matter.
Chris Wood on Okafor. Okafor was just dismantled. Christian Wood.
That Duke is so good. Duke is so good.
Oh man,
That-
it would just. I would just love to see
And
that
that
matchup, though.
freaking one kid, the white kid with the Bieber hair. What's his name? Grayson Allen. Dude, he hasn't even played yet, and that kid is legit. Super legit.
Duke is stacked.
They are
UNLV and
so
Duke.
good.
It's not even the
But
same.
you
league,
want to
but-
see the game though. That's the
Oh,
bottom
of
line.
course.
You want to see
Just
that.
because a win over Stanford looks good in March, really good. If you
Yes.
go to Brooklyn and beat Stanford,
On a
Stanford's
neutral
going to be
court, yes.
Stanford's going to be probably 4th, 5th, maybe in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 is one of the best conferences in the country in basketball. That's going to be if you could beat Stanford, that's going to look really, really good come the end of the season. So, and I don't think the committee will hold it against you getting crushed by Duke with a bunch of freshmen.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is Friday.
It'd be nice to keep it close though.
Oh, it would.
What against
Duke?
Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
It's like let's not put the cart in front of the horse. That's pretty much. What
I
I'm saying.
think if they could beat Stanford, that'd be so big for this team.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if they do beat Stanford though, that they'd be on such a high from beating Stanford, they would not even show up to the Duke game.
The
They
one
would-
person
They would
I
take
would
ball and be like, we're good. We're good. Let's go, guys.
The one person that would show up, he'd probably have 17 blocks, is Okanobo.
Yeah.
I talked to him at practice, and he wants to play Duke. So he was recruited by Duke. He was offered by
That's
Duke,
right.
and he chose UNLV over Duke. And he told that. He told me he made sure he brought up. They offered me, and I chose UNLV. So if we play Duke, like that's like his Super Bowl right there. Like he would definitely
Forget
show up
any
for that.
conference championship,
Yes.
anything. You go beat Duke, and this school will be buzzing like it
Yeah.
was when they beat North Carolina a couple years.
It's
ago.
going to be fun. UNLV hasn't been on this type of stage in a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is 4 o'clock on True TV. Stanford and UNLV, and the winner of that will more than likely play the winner against Temple. More than likely they will play the winner of Temple and Duke, but they more than likely will play Duke because Temple, God bless
I
them.
think we can just cut out more than likely. They're playing Duke if they win.
Temple shouldn't even.
Duke's
show
going to double up
Temple
Temple.
shouldn't even show up to the second game because they're probably going to get dismantled by the loser of this game.
Yeah.
So
Temple's a good distance from the rest of the team. I think they're the bottom team in this 4 by a pretty good distance.
by about 100 times. That's pretty
No,
much it.
I don't mean Duke. I mean I think they're significantly
By
worse
about
than
100
UNLV.
times. By about 100 times. All right. Well, Randy's got to bounce because he's
do.
got to head to UFC, I believe, right?
I got an interview, yeah.
Interview. All right.
I can't get out of here.
He's gonna miss the other good thing. We're gonna talk Lady Rebels basketball.
Hey.
And
Another
five-
team,
balling right now.
5
Another
minutes
team,
of football.
Another. Oh yeah, 5 seconds of football.
I
Let's
don't
talk-
care.
Another team that can't make the free throws is the Lady Rebels. So we'll talk about them in a second. But first, let's kind of touch up on this. Something that came across Twitter the other day. As Randy tries to get out the door.
I'm scurrying.
You're scary. And he's out the door. All right. But let's talk something about that came up on Twitter the other day. Mark Anderson of the Review Journal tweeted this, I believe it was on Monday. Nick Sherry has quit the UNLV football team. Didn't say anything, but he quit. I don't know. I don't know if he just packed his bag up and went home. I don't know if he took a train home. I don't know what he did, but Nick Sherry is apparently no longer on the football team because Jared Leibowitz was beating him out as the backup quarterback when Blake Decker was getting destroyed by front sevens across the board. So, quick thoughts on Nick Sherry leaving. I know this wasn't a fit for him offensively. This team, ever since they went to this pistol formation, nothing went right for Nick Sherry. So, first thoughts on...
So, I see this from both sides. I see why Hauck put in Leibowitz. It's because we know what we have in Sherry. Let's give this freshman a try and just see what we got going forward. I see why Hauck... I don't blame Hauck for putting Leibowitz in. From the other side, if I'm Nick Sherry, look, I've been to a ton of practices. Nick Sherry is 1,000 times the quarterback Jared Leibowitz could ever dream to be.
Yeah.
So if you're Sherry and you've been practicing with this guy all season, doing the same drills as him, and it's like, I'm way better than this guy. This guy doesn't deserve to strap my shoulder pads up for me. And when Decker comes out of the game, this dude who you've been practicing with, who you know you're way better than, goes in. It's like, what the hell, man? Why am I here?
Yeah.
So I see why Hauck put Leibowitz in. Screw it. We know Sherry's not.
At least we know why Sherry left, and that was a good reason to leave. Because if he's not playing well in this offense, because it just seems.
I don't think it's right for him to leave. I think that's kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of. I see why he would leave, but wait till after the season. Don't get up with 3 games to go, or 2 games to go, I should say, and pack your bag up and go home.
It's crazy to think 2 years ago we thought Sherry was the guy.
He was the guy that was going to save this program 2 years ago.
And let's be honest, he looked good 2 years ago, and then he slowly regressed. And then Caleb Herring came in last year. That team is totally different with Caleb Herring in this year. And like you said, in the summer, I don't know, was it even close between Decker?
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, the difference between Sherry and Decker
Athleticism.
is a lot closer than Leibowitz and Sherry.
And I think you're right. I think Hawk's just saying, you know what? We're probably going to finish this year with 2 wins. We got to look to the future. And maybe
he won't be the future once Dalton Snead gets in here.
No, but I think it was just, let's see. Because once Dalton Snead gets here, then Leibowitz is another, and he'll never see a snap of football. Am I right? So let's see. Now, say Leibowitz comes in and nobody thought Caleb Herring was going to do what he did. So let's just see. Maybe he'll come in and surprise us. Maybe he's one of them guys that's not great in practice, but he's a gamer. He shows up when the lights are on. He's not. We watched. He's not very good. And he wasn't any worse than Decker or Sherry have been because they've been so bad, but he's not good. He is getting bailed out by the receivers. Leibowitz cannot read a defense. He drops back and literally just... I know Devontae Davis is on the left side of the field, so I'm going to throw it to the left side of the field. That's literally his,
that should be all the quarterbacks who come up with 2 games left. That should be your...
So yes, he's not good, but I like you said, what else are you going to do? Let's see if he's any good before Snead gets in here, and they've seen that he's not that great, so
pretty much.
We'll go back to it.
2 positives. They scored in their first drive, and they recovered a fake onside kick, pooch kick.
But they still got destroyed by BYU, as we all expected.
I expected BYU to run for 267 yards. I did not expect Christian Stewart to throw for 325 yards, 3 touchdowns.
That's when you know that your team is bad. If you're letting a BYU quarterback throw for 300 yards when all they know how to do is run, that's when you know it's time to go home.
Yeah, they're bad.
They should have gone home after that first touchdown where they threw a screen pass and Taj Hassan just was on the block. And then he did a spin move off the block and tried to tackle.
They had 3 screens to go to the house.
It was just like Utah State.
Shaq Moore, what grade is he in?
He's a senior. This is his last year. And Shaq Moore was the one bright spot. He had 143 rushing yards and 68 yards. When he gets in open space, good luck getting him. You're not tackling him.
It's exciting to watch. It just sucks that he was in the doghouse for the first 6 weeks of the season. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the quick news. UNLV takes on Hawaii this week, and that's all you need to know.
And with the one thing with Hawaii, I've got a little cool thing like he's always got with these crazy stats with Hawaii. I watch a lot of Hawaii games only because they're the only game on at 1:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if they were on in the middle of the day, there's no chance they're getting watched. But because they're the last one on, I'll watch Hawaii. And their punter is fascinating to me. I'm telling you. Hawaii's punter, his name is Scott Harding. He's 28 years old. He's from
What?
Australia.
Okay,
And
rugby
because he
guy.
played Australian, they call it Australian football. It's similar to rugby.
Australian football.
Because they play Australian football, he punts with both his left and his right foot equally well.
Okay.
So what Hawaii does is, depending on what hash mark they're on, when he gets the ball, he sprints. And I'm talking, this dude's quick. He's like a running back. Because in Australian football, you run and kick, so he can run. He sprints to either the left or the right, the wide side of the field, and then he'll punt with that foot, and he can punt equally good with either one. He is going to convert a fake punt on UNLV Saturday. I promise. I guarantee, Johnny Unitas, guarantee,
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath, my bad. Wrong old quarterback.
My
Joe
Don't speak
Namath,
ill of the dead.
guarantee he converts a fake punt on UNLV. And it's so funny watching him because, like, when they punt, it looks like it's going to be a fake every time. Every time they snap, you're like, oh, here comes the fake. And then he runs, like, to, like, the last second right before and then he kicks it and gets destroyed every time.
Does he at least kick it far?
Yes, yeah, he's
Okay,
good.
okay.
Okay, check this out. Because he waits so long to punt it, the punt team is all the way down there. He averages 41.8 yards per punt. 41.8, that's decent.
Yeah.
The average net on those, 41.8, is 41.1.
Wow.
They've allowed 30 punt return yards combined this season. 30 punt return yards because he waits so long back there because he's running around like an idiot that the punt defense, the punt team is all the way down just waiting for you to catch the ball, basically. This punter is fascinating. I can't wait to watch the punter. That's all I'm saying. So if
This will be the battle of the punters.
there's no reason to watch this UNLV football game. They're
Except for
terrible.
Hawaii.
Hawaii sucks. It's in Hawaii. It means nothing. Watch that punter. The dude is awesome. I love Hawaii's 28-year-old punter from Australia.
Maybe the Raiders will draft him.
He's awesome, dude. He takes it and just hauls ass to one side of the field and then punts it with either foot. He doesn't care. It's awesome.
That is great.
So,
All
on to
right.
the Lady Rebels now that we're done with Hawaii's punter.
Well, I figured we were going to turn that into a Rebecca Patton segment, but I think that's pretty good.
She's gone, by the way.
He's outstanding.
Yeah, she's gone. We know that, but I mean the statue of what is his name?
Harding? Scott Harding? Scott Harding.
The statue of Scott Harding.
Dude, he's outstanding. He's so much fun to watch. No team have you ever looked forward to, it's fourth down. Here we go. Here comes Harding onto the field. This will be good.
It's like, which way is he going to go?
He's converted quite a few. I don't know the exact. I couldn't find the number of fake punts they've converted, but they do it often because basically what Norm Chow tells
Norm
him
Chow
is
does not
you
care.
have the green light on every punt. Every punt, he tells them, run, and if they get to you, punt it.
Yeah.
If they don't, run it. So basically every punt it could be a fake punt.
That's amazing.
There you go.
All right.
Freaking
I
punters.
don't know how we segue into that. I mean, that was great. That was. We might as well just end the podcast right there. But we do need to talk about women's basketball, guys. And before we go on talking about the 2-0 Lady Rebels, I do need to make some news here. UNLV signed 3 recruits, or got letters of intent from 3 recruits over the weekend. Jordan Bell and Destiny Lee, both from California, and the big one, Paris Strother from Liberty High School.
Yeah.
Another Liberty product who's really good coming to UNLV. She is the top recruit in this class. She averaged 12 points and 10 rebounds as a junior last year. So
Nice.
she is really good.
How tall is she?
6'1", I believe.
10 rebounds and you're 6'1"? I guess you're in high school, so it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I thought she was big, by the way.
It's just like football. The level of competition in
Yeah.
Nevada basketball is like, what? And
Yeah. I just assumed 12
Yeah.
and 10. Okay, she's a forward. No.
Yeah.
No.
Point guard.
Yeah,
Small one.
She's pretty good. All right, but Lady Rebels are 2-0 after a 15-point win over Loyola Marymount on Monday at the Cox Pavilion. And that was an interesting game, to say the least. UNLV was kind of hanging in there with LMU. LMU could not miss.
Yeah.
And when I say they could not miss, they shot 61% in the first half. They could not miss a shot. So explain to me how UNLV had a 5-point lead heading at halftime. I have no idea. But here was the key. 58 rebounds for UNLV. 28 of them were offensive rebounds. Only 37 rebounds for Loyola Marymount. And UNLV shoots 39% and beats LMU by 15 points. Now be it, LMU won 9 games last year. So this is not a big thing, but UNLV is 2-0 as they head to Hawaii this weekend to take on Missouri, and then at Hawaii on Sunday in the Bank of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine Classic.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Should have added a few more names into that.
I know, right? So, yeah, Lady Rebels are also 2-0. They can't make their free throws either, just like the men. So, I mean, it's pretty much a level playing field.
And just like the men, they've got a player, Elena Cesars, who's not allowed to come off the court.
No, she's
35 minutes.
Oh but here's the thing. Here, Elena had the most interesting game on Monday because she could not miss in the first half. I think she had UNLV's first 11 points, and LMU had 11 at the first timeout. So it was LMU 11, Elena Cesar 11. She had 20 first half points with 9 of 12 shooting. She only took 3 shots in the second half because they took her out of the game. They went to a 3-2 zone. 3-2 zone, took her out of the game. And she only had 3 shots the rest of the second half, and they were all blocked at the rim because they couldn't.
20. She finished with 22, so 2 points.
22 points,
half.
10 rebounds for Elena Cesar. And Danielle Miller, again, another solid shooting performance, 21 points on 50% shooting. So this Lady Rebels team so far through 2 games, they're talking about being a faster offense. They're talking about being more aggressive on defense so far through 2 games. They passed the test.
Well, if they can dominate the boards, like especially against LMU, especially on the offensive boards, it's hard to beat a team when you just can't get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And especially on the offensive boards, and they had almost 4 girls scoring double digits, 3 girls, and another girl scored 9 points.
Amy Calloway, 13 and 13.
Off the bench.
No, 4 girls double digits. Almost had another one. Jahia Cook had 9.
Jahia Cook actually did not start on Monday. A lot of discussion about point guard battle. Who's going to be the starting point guard? Kathy Olivier decided to start Brianna Charles at point guard because she thought the matchup would be better defensively. Brianna Charles had a terrible game, and Jahia Cook finished strong. Made a couple big free throws, kind of put the game out of reach. But yeah, just the rebounding has been crucial for this team. Like last year, they kept harping. They lost a lot of close games on rebounds. Like I think they lost the rebounding battle in 12 games, but in games decided by 10 points or less. If they rebound, they're going to win basketball games. And so far, through against 2 teams who are not really good, they've done that. Now they hit the road for the first time this year against Missouri and Hawaii, and really put that to the test this week.
Nothing spectacular through 2 games, but you had 2 teams you were supposed to take care of, and they did it. So you can't ask for much more than that. And last year they didn't cruise past teams like this.
Right.
So obviously, and like you said, they want a faster offense. 91 points is a ton of points in women's basketball.
Again, keep in mind that was on 39% shooting.
That is a ton of
5 of 23 from 3-point range, and they scored 91 points.
Yeah. So obviously they're running up and down the
court.
court.
They're 29 offensive rebounds again. Huge.
29.
They were plus 21 on the offensive boards, plus 21 overall on offensive on rebounding. This team loves to rebound. Every position they rebound that basketball, and they are effective at it.
I'm looking at the box score, and it's like you got 10 from Cesars, 13 from Callaway, and 9 from Rhodey, but then you got 4, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3. Everybody's pitching in to rebound the ball.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
But I think the big thing is they had to be really pleased with how Danielle Miller's played, because I mentioned this last week during our season preview. As she goes, this season goes. And she's had to kind of fine-tune her jump shot. She hasn't been consistent with it. Through 2 games, she's made a ton of jump shots, and her jump shot looks fluid. If she can get it going, and if Cesars can average about 16 and 8, like she's accustomed to doing, then this team has the talent to win at least 20 games this year. They have the ability to win. The question is, can they finish at the rim? Can they capitalize on their second chance points, which they've been able to do? That's pretty much my only concern going forward. But if they can continue to do that, they're in good shape.
They're good inside. They get they're dominating on the boards. If you can be solid inside like that and dominate the glass and just have one sniper, just one Ray Allen like sniper out there that when you leave them open, they make it, and that is Danielle Miller. So if they can if she can play like that and be their sniper, they're gonna be tough.
She's got a ton of confidence, and you pretty much only have 2 3-point shooters on this team. You have Danielle Miller and Elena Cesars. And apparently I saw on Monday, Ali Rhodey is apparently working on a 3-point shot because she took a 3.
Dear God, no.
No,
She's not ready.
No. Okay. I was kind of it was near half. I think it was just the start of the second half, so I was kind of looking at the Mavs game on the computer, and I was looking back up towards that game. And then I just see Ali Rhodey at the top of the key, and she shakes a 3. And I had to do a double take. I'm like, that was 14. She just took it. What the hell is she doing? I did not know that. And surprisingly, it almost went in.
She's been watching too much Chris Wood.
That's another word to Chris Wood. Stop taking 3s. You're 0 for 4 in the year. But yeah, that was probably a one-time thing.
Hopefully,
I would assume. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this point guard battle is going to be interesting going forward. I mean, Amy Callaway, I talked to her after that double-double, and she said she used to start her freshman year. She started 27 games in her freshman year. And I talked to her about it and said, have you kind of gotten used to being off the bench, coming off as this role player? And she said, absolutely, because there's so much depth on this team. Before last year, you couldn't say that. There wasn't that much depth. This year, there's a lot of people that can contribute points on this team.
Yeah, and people don't like coming off the bench. You always want to be a starter. I mean, I've played on basketball. You want to start. But she's getting the third most minutes on the team. The only two players that get more minutes is Cesars and Miller. So,
Yeah.
You don't want to come off the bench, but if you're getting 23 minutes,
Yeah,
I don't care.
And they're pretty much rotating the front court, dude.
Yeah.
Because if Rhodey isn't getting looks inside or she's struggling, then she brings in Jasmine Barty, and then Amy Callaway will probably come in and play some 4 or the 5. So, I mean, you have a lot of weapons to choose from when it comes to the front court, and that's something that Kathy Olivier hasn't had in a while. Because now you have people who can use their size, get in the paint, and let the girls score from inside. And that's been a key this year that they've been focusing on.
it's just like Dwayne Morgan on the men's side. Going into the season, you never would have thought Dwayne Morgan would be coming off the bench.
He was actually sitting next to me at the game.
At the women's game.
At the women's game, yeah.
But
he was sitting next to me. Like,
he's not
literally,
complaining.
at the media table.
He's not complaining that he's coming off the bench, but that's because
Yeah.
he's getting minutes, starter minutes, which is what she's getting. So I think Amy Callaway come off the bench. That's perfect for him. As long as she keeps getting those minutes, she'll be fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking as well. But UNLV takes on Missouri in the long name tournament that I'm not going to try and pronounce again. They play Missouri on Friday and then at Hawaii on the 23rd before coming back for the Lady Rebel Roundup Thanksgiving weekend. And that, by the way, that Saturday is going to be hectic.
Yes, it is.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Lady Rebels at noon. UNLV play. Run Rebels play.
Is it at the Thomas and Mack?
No, Pavilion. So
Okay.
you're going to have to transition. So Pavilion, 12 o'clock. Lady Rebels take on Delaware State. Runner Rebels play Albany at 3 o'clock. And then the Cannon game, which has been announced this week, is a 7:30 time. 7:30 kickoff at Sam Boyd Stadium for the Cannon.
It's
God,
gonna
that's
be
already here.
it's gonna be a caravan from Thomas and Mack over to the you're gonna be able to see it from space, just all the cars going straight
Just all
to
the
Thomas
lights.
and Mack.
There's going to be such a traffic jam going
Yeah.
on the 15.
Yeah, it's gonna suck for me, but
It's going to suck for me too. At least I got a little bit of a gap in between
Yeah.
right there. But yeah, so plan ahead, pack a lunch.
Dave Rice better get to the podium quick. No,
Oh yeah, because last year
we don't need no post game speech with Albany. All right, guys, good job. Who's coming up to the press conference? Let's go. That's what I need from Dave Rice. That's what I need.
Oh man, last year was freaking terrible.
Yeah, it took forever. It wasn't the Reno game, obviously, because
No,
that
it
was
was
in
San
Reno.
Diego State.
Yeah,
It was the last game of the year, and got in the car with Jesse, and Jesse's like,
Well, everyone in the media room is sitting there because pretty much everyone that covers UNLV basketball also covers football. So we're all sitting there like, come on, what's he doing? And like that, he never took that long to come out because I think they lost or
who they beat? UT Martin.
they barely beat him or something. And
No,
we're
it was by
man,
like 30.
was it?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was like a close
It was a
game, and we're like,
blowout.
he's probably chewing him out in there. I don't know. Whatever it was, he took forever to come out of the locker
Oh
room.
my god, it was terrible.
Driving us crazy.
That was one of the more excruciating.
Hopefully, they
days.
take care of Albany by 65, and then
and keep it like 2 minutes short, and then move on.
Dave Rice can just walk from the court to the post-game press conference.
Because
no
this-
need for the locker
Because this
room.
will be the last time this year people talk about UNLV football and actually get anxious for it. So
Oh, it'll probably be so. I wouldn't be surprised if it sells out. That game is going to be crazy.
that game is the only game that sells out. But I would not be
There'll be more Reno
surprised.
fans there.
I would not be surprised if there were more Reno fans.
Yeah.
Because it happened.
No.
2 years ago it did.
2 years ago, there wasn't more Reno fans. I was at the game.
It was pretty Reno.
I'd
heavy.
say it was 60-40 UNLV.
Everybody stormed the field. That's what I remember. I've given
Yeah,
up 20.
like they stormed the field. It was one section of people. It was on the closed side on the opposite corner of the student section. It was like that one section stormed the field. There was probably maybe 1,000 people that ran out
Well,
there.
we keep forgetting it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, all that matters is the Governor's Series.
That's
The
right.
Governor Series, yeah.
The bane of my existence. All right, well, that's going to do it, guys. Big weekend of basketball this weekend for both teams. Football team is in Hawaii.
And
Got
soccer team is in
Men's
Irvine.
soccer is at Irvine in the NCAA tournament, and then they have to go play Stanford after that. God bless them. All right, well, that's going to do it, guys, for this edition of the Rebel Yell Sports Podcast. We will see you next week. Hopefully, UNLV comes out 4-0 and with a win over Duke. Who knows? And hopefully, the Lady Rebels are 4-0, and hopefully, UNLV keeps the game within 14 points against Hawaii. And hopefully the men's soccer team.
Hopefully we beat Duke, and hopefully we don't get embarrassed by 3-8 Hawaii.
And hopefully the men's soccer team comes away with a win against Irvine and against Stanford.
There you go.
Which I don't even know when.
They'll make this a national holiday if all that happens.
The Stanford game will be on the 23rd, so they wouldn't play again until like Sunday, I believe.
Okay.
So then we can still say, well, hopefully they're in the Sweet 16 at that point, I think.
I'm not even going to try to pretend I know what the soccer bracket looks like.
They call it the third round.
Whatever. Dude.
They call it the third round on the bracket here. All right, well, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed our comedic antics. And until next time, for Randy, Jesse, and Jordan, I'm Danny. See you next time.